The views and opinions of the Nissan Nation podcast are simply that. They are views and opinions of its guests or hosts. They do not reflect Nissan corporate or otherwise. Now, a DRB and KGB media presentation, the Nissan Nation podcast. Hit it, Kelly.
Recorded live, coast to coast, it's a Nissan Nation podcast. From camping, racing, and all points in between. The NNP is your Nissan Nation podcast. Now start your engines and welcome in your hosts, David, Danny, and Holden.
What is going on, Nissan Nation? From all things Nissan here in Middle Tennessee to wherever you're listening to this show, this is your Nissan Nation podcast. And Danny, well, I can't say we. There's award. It's award time. It's award season, Danny. And, I think that we've been ranked by J.D. Powers as the best Nissan Nation podcast out there.
It's true. It's true. There has been an outcry from the JDs all across the United States, and they said, we have the power. This is going to be great in our commercials because that's basically the only time you ever hear about JD Power is when you're hearing a commercial talking about some kind of ranking with some kind of vehicle or a podcast, of course.
Of course.
So when our commercial comes out and we tell everybody who wants to know and we show that cool little JD Power trophy,
so we can put
you'll know about it.
We'll put that on the website, right? I mean,
beautiful trophy, and we'll be like, we're JD Power Nissan Nation podcast of the Nissan's the best.
That's right, man. And what is going on in Americas and the world, basically? I mean, we're big in Portugal, like we talked about last time. So
it's because they like the shitties.
That's right, man. They like your wave, buddy.
They like the shitties in Portugal. I know.
The wave
I got some Portuguese friends that I was in Afghanistan. The war. Back when I was in the war.
Yeah, you're
some Portuguese buddies on the East Coast.
So Dan, how is it going, buddy? It's been a few weeks. Everything going good? Race truck? Anything news? What's going on?
A little bit slow. Just super busy family life. I bought some more brake stuff. I bought a bunch of Willwood brake stuff. I'm literally waiting day by day to drop the truck off at another shop here local to me. He's gonna help with some. Excuse me.
The sound you hear is Danny yawning.
Tired day. He's going to help with a lot of the brake line fittings, mounting, basically all the mounting fab that needs to go into doing that. So I'm going to bring it down there. A lot of the stuff that I can do at home, I have some of the tooling and whatnot, but the time is killing me.
Right.
I can never break away for more than a couple hours, and it takes It'll take a full weekend of someone working on it 8 hours a day to knock it out. And I'm just kind of coming to the realization I just don't have the time I wish I had.
I remember Danny about episode 5 giving me all kinds of crap about, Dave, why are you got a SAS or trucks just in your garage and all this. And now I think family life, you see it just nails you, man. And we're in the middle of summer now too.
Yeah, well that the addition of another kid. That was very small. Yeah. that kind of threw a wrench in the mix, and that's probably what it was for you a couple years ago.
Yep.
A few years ago, you had a little kid in there. They require a lot of supervision. So I mean, he comes out and works on the truck with me and stuff like that, and we get, I got some work done. I cut out some fenders, and I got the steering wheel mounted up, and a couple other things. I changed spark plugs and just maintenance stuff that. Just lots of little unexciting things I got done. So all that stuff is coming along, and it's just a matter of getting some of that more important stuff done now.
Right. Well, and speaking of little ones, of course, our buddy's Hips Designs there in Indiana, man. Tony's always posting up some fun stuff. Did you see where I think he was under his truck and his grandson decided to put a drill through the tire?
Oh no!
Yeah, man.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, his grandson was helping him, and you see the drill bit stuck in the side of the tire, and I think he was under the truck or something. I can't remember. It's been a while, but I'm
a little sketchy. You just hear The truck's getting closer and closer. You're on your creeper trying to squeeze out.
But yeah, man, that was kind of funny. I haven't got to talk to Tony about it, but I wanted to get the whole lowdown on that, and maybe with Wint coming up, maybe I'll see Tony again this year, and we can get the lowdown. Let's see. Let's get to some Nissan news, and Nissan news is brought to you by. I don't know. It's brought to you by somebody, but we'll say
this could be you.
This could be you. So if you are looking to a JD Power type website or a podcast, we're going to attach ourselves to Nissan any way we can, and we basically won this award for them. So if you would like to attach yourself to an award-winning show, hit us up, NissanNationPodcast@gmail.com. Anyways, so it came out yesterday, Dan, that Nissan Titan ranked top, in quotes, large light-duty pickup in J.D. Power's 2019 U.S. Initial Quality Studies, the IQS, which means, I don't know, Dan. I guess they built a decent truck ultimately. Within the first 3 months, it doesn't break down. So
yeah, I mean, it ranked above the F-150 and the Toyota Tundra. I mean,
yeah, it is a big deal, man. I know it's like initial quality or something. It's not a long-term thing, but. I guess as long as they don't test out a 16 with a diesel, they're okay, buddy.
Yeah. Well, there's rumblings of some problems there.
Just a little bit. But let's see, Dan, what all won in this? Nissan won a few things. Got top car.
The Maxima won in initial quality study, the large car. They went up against the Toyota Avalon, the Chrysler 300. So it ranked the best.
Is that great though when like Ford and GM decided to quit building cars?
Well, if it's ranking above Toyota, that's got to be saying something, because Toyota kind of they kind of run the car market a little bit as well.
Right. Now, let's see. Frontier, Versa, Murano, and Rogue are all in the top 3 in their respective categories. As we were saying before the show, I would hope after 15 years of building the same truck, you could build a quality truck. So I would hope this truck would be up there.
And in truth, in midsize pickup, it got second, and it beat out Toyota in midsize pickup and initial quality.
Well,
and it only got beat by the Ford Ranger, which is a brand new vehicle. So of course, it's probably going to be a little bit more quality.
Which they've sold like 4 of them, I think. So
yeah, it doesn't sell more, but apparently it's more quality.
But I'm very this is big news for them. And Nissan needs a home run right now, so this is pretty nice news.
Yeah, and I mean, I always took the JD Power thing as a grain of salt. It's kind of a thing that it's almost like something you feel like someone could just buy. They call up JD Power and they're like, "Hey, man, we want to give you $20,000." And they're like, "Just make sure we're up on high ratings because we need to make some commercials."
Right.
I just always see maybe it's like a Chevy. It's some car commercial like, JD Power rated our cars as fantastic. You should buy them. And then there's people standing there like, "Oh, really? I didn't even know that. If you could pick this one or the one that's rated by JD Power, would you pick the one with the cool trophy?" Like, "Oh yeah, that's the one I want to pick." Sweet. Well, so that's my personal opinion of JD Power. I never really put much stock into it, but if they say it's good, it's good, I guess.
I will say it's big news for Canton, Mississippi, man. They I know when I worked for Nissan, Canton was sort of sometimes the quality was great there, sometimes it's not. So clearly they've stepped everything up. Nissan has down there, and they're actually producing quality vehicles now. So that's a big win for Canton and a big win for the Titan, because the Titan doesn't get a ton of love. It's sort of
they needed a win for sure lately. It just seems like just all this. I mean, we've been talking a lot of crap about Nissan for all those things lately, but we like the Titan, and despite our little qualms with maybe small stuff or whatnot, it's a great truck, and it's cool that they got that accolade. Now they can put that next to their name, kind of. It's kind of like a little star.
Yeah. And you can go to your dealership in about 5 years, and you'll see those posters still on the wall somehow, showing that they won an award.
Well, you might see the same exact truck in 5 years if they don't get their act together.
Actually, Dan, it came out this week, a little bit of Titan news. Did you see the spy photos of the 2020?
I did. Doesn't it have some new headlights? Or was that what was in the spy photos?
Well, of course, they're all covered up, so you can't really tell what's going on. But I know me and you have seen this truck, and it's going to be a vast improvement, man. They've came from 2016, and they're about 2017 in styling now, so that's kind of cool. I kid though, but they actually, man. So they're getting some new headlights, new grille, new taillights. The radio is actually a modern radio now. It's
a nice big screen that they put into it. So it's got a much larger infotainment center, I guess you would say.
It's going to have Apple CarPlay. I think the last thing I seen or was told, it's going to have their 360 shield and all whatever that is.
Yeah, it's got some good tech updates that you would find in competitors' trucks.
Right, and I'm being told it's going to have a moonroof or an optional moonroof, Dan, which is kind of big because that's the one thing that I know initial Titan buyers were all sort of pissy about was, where's the sunroof, man? And you're like, yeah, this day and age, the last Titan had a sunroof, man. How did you produce a truck that now doesn't?
I don't know about you, Dave. I live in Southern California, and I could give a flying butt bomb about like I have a sunroof on my truck. I never ever, like, I've opened that thing like maybe 2 times in the last year. Like, I don't get the sunroof thing. Maybe people like it. I just don't like to bake all the time while I'm driving. Like, you open it and all of a sudden you're like, I'm getting sunburned. It's like the sunburn hole. It's not a sunroof, it's a sunburn hole. Like, you know what? This AC is fantastic, but you know what I'd like? The sun to belt right down into my face right now. Well, I need to put 2 pairs of sunglasses on.
Yeah, but see, this one's going to be, I think, that moonroof, and I think from what I've been told is a double moonroof, man. So you're going to have this big, kind of like Ford does now, where they big glass roof, basically
panorama sunroof kind of a thing. Like,
so
I guess if you're into that, I've never been into it.
Right,
if that's your thing.
How is the land of California like convertibles, I hear, and then like you don't even want anything to do with your sunroof?
Well, me personally, I hate convertibles. Basically, you take a good solid car with nice solid roof to tie it all together, and then you say, hey, maybe we should make this thing more bendy. So you put a couple pieces of metal along the bottom to stiffen it up and weigh it down, and you take the roof off. I've been in like 2 convertibles, and well, I used to drive the convertibles at work, but I never put the tops down.
Right.
And I hated fixing them,
man.
And I'm very mean spirited.
SoCal life didn't soak in that.
If you want a convertible, go buy a motorcycle.
Ah, okay. So then you have
all
the UV rays coming right at you, huh?
Yeah. If you're gonna be out there and you want to really experience it, just hop on a motorcycle. And if you suck at riding a bike, get a Can-Am 3-wheel thing and just run around with those.
Oh, dude, I hate those spider bikes, man. I do. Whatever Polaris, whatever they call those things, man, with the 2 front wheels and the one. And their advertising.
Better than a convertible. It's better than a convertible.
Their advertising always kills me, dude. It's always this like 70-year-old dude on the bike. Like,
well, it's not that easy to ride a bike for a 70-year-old dude. You can't just hold it up all the time.
Yeah, let's put the trainer wheels on and let Papaw go out there at 70 miles an hour in the highway.
Man, if I'm 70 and I have a hard time lifting my Harley, I may have to move over to. Well, I'm never gonna Harley. Let's be honest. If I can't hold my BMW motorcycle, my GS up anymore, I might move over to the Can-Am for cruising time.
Nice. Or you could just go Honda Goldwing, man, and be that a really old guy that.
Here's if you want a convertible, buy one of those slingshots.
Slingshots? What's that?
That's a little. It's like I think is it 3-wheel? Might be just like it's like a cart. It's like a street legal cart. You got to Google it. You haven't seen a slingshot?
I don't think so. I'll have to look at that.
Oh yeah, dude. It might be. I can't remember now if it's a 3-wheel car kind of a thing.
Well, you know what's bad is right now there's some listener going, "It's right here, man. It's this. It's this."
I know what a slingshot is, bro. Don't you remember? It's got 3 wheels. It have 4 wheels. I don't remember. I just know that they're like it's basically like a cage. It's just like a buggy,
right?
Like for the street, you know. Well, that would be fun. Just hit through the canyons.
Well, and speaking of fun, I think the 2020, as we get back to the Titan wrapping this up, I think like I really want to say like I know XD is not really changing much, but the V8, the normal V8 is, and I want to say, and this is just speculation completely, That the V8 they put in the Infiniti QX80 has 400 horsepower. So the current V8 in the Titan has 390. I would bet money that in the XD they go ahead and bump the XD up to the 400 horsepower. Dan, what do you think about that?
I think that'd be a solid move.
I mean, just making it more extra duty, right?
It's got to be just minimal. Maybe just a little bit of timing in it.
Yeah, it's all tuning of it. It's nothing else.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'd be a fan of that.
So
I mean, what is it? What did you say the stock one was? 390.
Mm-hmm. So you can.
Yeah,
I want to say
10 horsepower is a
405,
very
maybe
small.
Yeah, I mean, but it would make it a little extra duty. It would be a sales point, basically.
Yeah, it'd be a great sales pitch to say, "Oh yeah, we got a 400 horsepower motor."
Yeah,
You're
right. And it's a V8, not a V6.
Did I just say it's a V6?
No, I did. I'm just picking on Ford a little bit.
Oh,
man. So I read something the other day, Danny. Speaking of Ford, that the Raptor is like the king of trucks right now. I mean, you can't fight that. But Ford's having a little difficult time with their twin turbo V6. Like the guys.
Yeah, there's a big outcry because all the guys, like I guess if someone turns one in with a V8, like the old 6.2s or whatever, if they turn it into a dealership, it's gone, and then they can't get rid of the new twin turbo ones nearly as quick. And then I read probably the same stuff you're seeing. But I read an article about how they're looking to bring back a V8 for it, or possibly a supercharged V8, I think is what they were looking at as well.
When they were talking about maybe doing 2 engine options in the Raptor, and I was like, geez, guy. I mean, that's a typical Ford thing, because I watched our buddies over at the TFL Trucks on YouTube, man. They were talking about Ford motor options the other day. And it was like, I couldn't keep up with like the 7 options, and then that depended on which trim you got. And I was like, well, guys, just make 2 motors, man. Just let's go back to simpler times. Yeah,
Ford is a little notorious more recently, I suppose. It used to be a little bit less crazy. Mm-hmm. You'd have 2 motors in the truck.
You get your V6
or 1. Yeah, the V6
for the work truck.
Was it a V6?
Yeah, they did
it used to be a straight 6 for a while. Yeah. And then it went to a V6 and a V8. You had a 5.4, and then they put the 5-liter in them. And yeah, they had a V6 for like the work packages and stuff like that, I think, for those dirt cheap ones.
But rumor has it, Danny, that the V6 is about to hit the next Titan as well. So I know we've reported that the 3.5 liter V6 that Nissan's working on the Frontier, they're pushing hard. Nissan teased us a while back and said, hey, we're going to do more of a V6 package, maybe something with a little bit better fuel economy. And I think that's coming true maybe with the 2020 as well, Dan.
Yeah, I don't know how they integrate that. If they can pull like solid 300 across the board, 300, 310 horsepower torque, that would be more than enough for like a work package or a very
Well, I'm hearing over 300 horsepower for this 3.5 liter.
So if they can do that, the problem is they're not going to get great. I don't think they'll get amazing gas mileage out of that unless it's some kind of turbocharged thing. I don't think they're going to be killing it with gas numbers like Ford's getting.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're going actually after that EcoBoost territory, but they need more of a contractor package, and a V6 like that would do it. But I'm holding out hopes that there's a 3.5 liter turbo coming for maybe a Warrior-ish like Frontier down the road. So you never know. I mean, Nissan knows turbos. They just don't seem to in the States know turbos. So
yeah, I mean, I like that for that Ford. I like that Ford went on with them daggone whippy-doo turbos at the choo-choo ka-choos. No, I like the turbo thing that Ford's doing. Don't get me wrong. And I mean, I'm not a V8 snob. I just know that there's a ton of people out there that don't like the turbo nearly as much. So it's just a matter of, I mean, there's a ton of gas mileage that you can get and tuning and different things.
Right. Well, they would I'm sure this thing would be geared for basically highway use and but that is some rumors to talk about. And of course Nissan, we've talked about some of the changes, and I know this isn't Danny's favorite thing, but I'll only hint at it since Holden's not with us tonight. But they've got new leadership in their communications team now. There's a new plan. We're starting to see some new ads rolling out for the Leaf, like something different besides that waspy guy and the every car they've got in the background, man. So I really think 2020 is the year that Nissan's they were coming out like throwing punches again, man. So maybe we'll see a cool new Frontier commercial. I don't know, man. And if you're interested in this 2020 pickup, I'm hearing November, guys. So if you're anxious, if your release is running up like mine is, and you want something new and something with Apple CarPlay and all the fun goodies, it's coming.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, as we finish up with that Titan talk, I got to, a few weeks ago, well, I guess about a month or so ago now, I was just driving around town here, just, I see all kinds of Nissans, so nothing generally stands out. But all of a sudden, I looked in front of me, and the guy is driving on the wrong side of the car. And I was like, what? Wait, how you just kind of do a double take. You're like, what? Did all those years of me doing acid or whatever, I don't know, did it flashback? Am I like freaking out?
Jeez, Dave. Wait.
Vietnam, I don't know, man.
Never mind. Let's not get stuck on that. You're right.
Hey, we've all experimented, Dan. But so I look up and it's a Nissan Skyline, and not just any like Skyline. It's a R33 Skyline, and I was like, holy crap! So, and it wasn't a GTR. I mean, normally when you think of a Skyline, everybody thinks GTR, but they actually made a lot more cars than a GTR. There
was more than one car out.
Yes. And this is a GTS, man. So it was a 93, which I believe was the first year of the R34. So it was a GTS, which, it's turbo, it's fun, but it's not the full GTR package. But so I kind of I was like, man, I wonder who that guy is. So I happened to see him pull into a convenience store, and I was like, I'm going to totally this is what we do, Dan. You see an interesting car.
Dave, are you trying to tell me that you propositioned another man in a convenience store?
I did, man. I seen him.
Good for you, sir. That's dedication to the show. I'm very appreciative of your dedication to it. What did you ask for the key to the bathroom, or did he?
No, it wasn't like that, Dan. But he gets out of the car, and I was like, hey, man, I said, I was like, hey, I'm Dave with the Nissan Nation podcast. You do the whole spill, like, because you don't want to look like you're some weirdo just like trying to.
Yeah, you throw the asterisks of the Nissan Nation podcast and just initially to make sure that they know that you're not just a creeper.
Yeah, I'm not the normal creeper.
I'm more than a creeper, I promise. Here's why.
But anyway, so I was like, man, can I take a couple pictures of your car? He's like, yeah. I said, I bet you get this all the time. And he's like, oh, God, yeah. He's like, anytime I'm out in this car, man, there's people taking pictures of me. And so we got to talk for a few minutes. And I was like, dude, we'd love to have you on the show sometime. And he was like, sure, man. I think he was still trying, is this guy for real? Because I told him the name of the show, and he instantly goes to his phone and is like, double checking us. Like, is this guy's for real? And so
checking your creds.
Yeah, pretty much. So our JD Power wasn't up there yet, though, Dan.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But
now that we have that we're good.
Now that I own a Titan, so I can attach myself to that. So we friended each other on Facebook, and so he hit me up one day. He's like, hey, man, are you really serious about that? I was like, yeah, dude, I'd love to talk about it. So we set a time and date and went up there, and this is what you're about to hear, man. It's the guy is super sharp, man. He's not just a Nissan guy. He loves all imports, which was really cool because, I love Toyota, and I love basically all the import brands. But the dude is just super interesting, man. He went in and restored. He's got a Gen 1 Celica that he restored, and it's really cool looking. He's got
nice.
He just sold a Land Cruiser. I think it was a 97 Land Cruiser that he completely went through and rebuilt. Cool. And that's what he does. And this car is kind of interesting. He bought this car to sort of, I think, flip it. And he just fell in love with the car, and he put it up for sale. As we did this interview, the day we did it, the car went up for sale. And I kind of bugged him about it. And I can't remember if I talked about this or not, but I was like, dude, so I'm interviewing you about your cool car, and it's like for sale. And he's like, yeah, I have to get my price for it. And this car is clean. I mean, it's clean for a 93. And, Danny, I got to sit in it. I'm sitting there, right-hand drive, and I'm like So we do these YouTube videos too, where I test drive people's cars, and I don't think that one's gonna fly too well. But anyway, he did say we could do some YouTube stuff with it, so that's really cool down the street.
Cool.
So without further ado, let's get to our GTS, our Skyline GTS interview here on the Nissan Nation podcast. All right, guys, so today we have a unicorn of sorts with us. We have an R33, and the owner, Brent Poslston, is here with me. And Brent, for one, thank you for doing this. I hated that I kind of stalked you out on the highway one day and seen this car and was like, I got to talk to this guy. But thanks for meeting up and talking to us about your car.
Not a problem at all.
So give us kind of the lowdown on this car. What year is it, and kind of what model is it, and so on?
It is a 93 GTS-T. It is the Type M, which is the top of the line for the 93 R33.
For those, if you can't see it, it's black. It's just, guys, this is what you were telling me when we met. This is the first or the second one actually illegally imported, right?
I know of one other importer that brought a white one in before this one, but this is the second one that I knew of to clear customs in September.
Right. So, and that's October's when you picked it up, right?
It passed customs in October.
Okay.
I received it in November.
Oh, okay. So what is, for those that listen, what is the process? Because every Nissan fanboy is, Skyline is especially the R34, but a Skyline GTR GT is kind of a dream car. It's kind of the one we'll never get, but you always want it. But kind of, how did you find it, and what led you to get it?
I use a company called VizTech R. They are a subsidiary of High Rev out of Florida, and they will source any car that you can think of. You tell them what you're looking for, your budget, and they send you photos and descriptions of several cars, and it allows you to more hand-pick your car before you purchase it. It removes a little bit of the risk. You can pay to have it inspected. And then once you find the car that best fits you, you just make your purchase, and just it's a waiting game.
And play the waiting game, yeah. So when you was there a couple you were looking for, or was it when you saw this one was like, this is the car for me?
I knew I wanted a 93 GTS-T. It was a starter car to figure out if I was going to want a GTR later on. And I think I looked at about 10 different models before I settled on this one, and it was the cleanest of all of them. And I could easily identify all the issues prior to purchasing it.
Right, which is kind of unknown, because it's not like you get to test drive one of these cars. It's kind of do or die, right? Like, you get it, and it is what it is, correct?
That is right. You're completely sight unseen. I still had dozens of issues once the actual car arrived that I wasn't aware of prior to the purchase.
Right. So obviously you take delivery of it, and there was a couple mishaps, right?
Yes. Wiring was the biggest mishaps. Things that aren't the fault of the company you purchase it through. So the exporter sells a car with loose lug nuts causing wheels to fall off, or the wrong transmission being bolted to the motor. Just little things like that, or things I ran into, which did not help my struggle.
Right. So obviously you were telling me one of the tires had fallen into the fender, kind of messed that up, which in turn cracked the windshield, and of course wiring issues. And the importers, I guess they don't basically drive. They just get the car, and it is what it is when they handle it. Right. They're sort of a middle ground guy.
They are the middleman. They are handling the transaction. It is ultimately the exporter from the other country in Japan or Australia or wherever it's sourced from to provide a more accurate description. So I did not hold that against them. However, they did do their they stood behind themselves to repair everything that needed to be repaired.
Right. So a vehicle like this is probably insured by them, or they require you to get some sort of shipping insurance or something like that?
They have their own insurance.
Oh, okay. So obviously, you're excited to get the car, and then you find these problems, and then it's like, great, now how do I, because it's not like you just go to the local Nissan dealership and you're like, hey, I need an R34 fender. It's all of a sudden there's issues.
Right. Most of the parts, there are U.S. companies that are stocking parts more and more. I use a particular company out of Louisiana. Mm-hmm. It's a TFA Speed. It's Terra Firma Auto. They have a large assortment of parts, and they stock everything. So they're great people.
Right.
And then, of course, OEM stuff. Nissan is still the best go-to.
Yeah.
Going directly through Nismo has been a big help sourcing parts.
Well, I know dealerships every once in a while they'll get these, and of course there's always that fanboy, the mechanic that's like, that I'm working on. That's mine. That's my car. I'm handling this one for whatever, because a lot of these cars still need. There's a lot of people that just want them serviced, and the Nissan dealerships have to service the product, even though it might kind of be out of their normal. So kind of walk us around here and tell us a little bit of how the car was and what you changed about it.
So I did tons of upgrades to the car when I received it. Brakes, it's got 18-inch raised wheels and custom bronze that were delivered straight from Mackin Industries. I've replaced all the belts, hoses, and basic maintenance items on the motor. Mm-hmm. It does have an upgraded turbo from an R33 GTT. It's also the Stagia. It is a steel turbo versus the ceramics found in the R33 Skylines.
Right.
I've replaced several interior bits. I'd say the most notable is going to be the steering wheel and the gauge cluster, which are sourced from a 1993 Skyline, and they are the period correct items for the car.
Right, and you were saying that they're Nismo products, so they're hard to get as well, right?
They are Nismo cataloged products from when the car was sold new, so they were only made for 1 to 2 years when the car was in production.
Right. So, is there anything else that? Clearly, you said you redid the whole drivetrain and everything. Was this all in part of the plan when you bought the car, or was this like, oh great, now I've got this car, it needs these things?
It was not part of the plan. When I got the car, I was expecting a few paint issues. I got a few more of those than I expected, but mechanically, I was expecting the car to be sound, and I could just start throwing power adders and building things out.
Yeah,
it didn't happen that way.
And driving it and just having fun, and then all of a sudden, so the car came through where, North Carolina?
It came in North Carolina, and they shipped it from there to Florida to have it titled and inspected.
Okay.
And then it was shipped straight to me.
Is there a reason they go through Florida, or is it just?
I would say Florida is an easier state to title as far as the application to receive a title.
Okay.
But it still is ultimately up to the customs documents to make sure everything is federally legal.
Right. And, of course, I'm sure every customs agent sees one of these rolling through the lot and is like, all right.
I believe my car was at customs for about a month.
There's every fanboy taking a picture with your car out there.
Correct. It was definitely a huge wait even once it was here.
So when you obviously you pay for the vehicle kind of sight unseen, you get it, you have an idea of kind of there's some things I would do to it. Obviously there was things you had to fix about it, but what was the first kind of performance? Was it the turbo, adding the better turbo? What was the first thing that you knew you wanted to do?
I did not do anything voluntarily on the car.
Oh, really?
I did not.
So the old turbo failed, or
it had some gasket leaks.
Okay.
And it was one of those things, while you're in there doing it, you might as well replace the turbo.
Yeah. And
it's an OEM replacement, so everything bolts right up.
Right.
Every upgrade I've pretty much made on the car is me chasing issues.
Yeah.
All in all, I've probably spent $16,000 replacing factory parts and doing upgrades from failure OEM stuff.
Right. And so how many miles does this car have on it, or I guess kilometers to miles?
It has roughly 70 to 75,000 miles.
Which is about where in Japan, where before they have to go through the heavy inspections, right?
Correct.
Yeah. What is it, 80, I think, is when they kind of shut them down?
I believe at 80. Yes.
Right. So this car was at its end of its life cycle over there, which is great for us because everybody wants them here, but it's not great for you when you find all these problems. So obviously it's a black car. It looks like the front lights are tinted. I know you said you've done everything to this car except rebuild the motor, right?
Short of the body, everything mechanically I've pretty much had my hands on.
Right.
Those are the factory headlamps.
Mm-hmm.
This body kit is all factory.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Type M appearance package. Pretty much everything you see is actually factory. It does have an upgraded rear spoiler.
Okay.
This is off the Series 2 R33.
Okay. Taillights or anything done to this? Let's walk around this for a minute, because like I said, I stalked you, so I didn't get a real good chance to kind of like lust over your car any. What's the exhaust? It looks like that's slightly upgraded.
It's an unknown canister. It appears to maybe be an Apexi. But it was restricted and still was utilizing the stock 2-inch piping.
Okay.
So I had it made 3-inch all the way back. So it's all been replaced. I deleted the catalytic converter and items like that.
Right.
But it does pass emissions. It did pass NC emissions. It is tagged as a standard driver.
So was there any concern with that? Because we're here in Middle Tennessee, and a few counties in our area do have emissions that you have to go through. This is kind of that weird time frame of a vehicle with emissions. What was there? Was there any worries about it, or?
I will not own a car if it will not go through emissions.
Right.
I don't want a restriction to when I can drive it.
Right.
That's kind of a point. So that was my first goal, was to get it through emissions, and it passed as soon as I had a battery in it and it running. Mm-hmm. It passed emissions at flying colors.
Right. So basically, you don't want to put vintage tags on it, and you're very restricted when you can drive this vehicle. So is there anything since you've bought this and now, because this is, I'm assuming, your first Japanese vehicle actually from Japan, or have you had others?
It is not.
Really?
I actually built a 1976 Toyota Celica.
Oh, wow.
I guess it was about 4 years ago now.
So this, it really gave you a good idea of kind of how, like, the Celica is pretty popular. It was pretty popular for a Japanese car. So that gives you a better idea of how, like, this is the next level up for building a car, kind of, right?
It's the middle generation, yes.
But as far as, like, going from Celica, I know it's older, so the parts were probably a little harder to find. But, like, you tipped your toes into that water of how to kind of source parts, and then you get something like this, and it's just the next amped up level of buying used parts, or was that car easier, harder?
I would say the difference is manufacturer. Mm-hmm. Toyota, for me, was easier to source parts for.
Really?
Nissan, just the dealerships doesn't seem to have more of the knowledge on the Japanese parts.
Right.
So luckily, like with the Celica, a lot of things cross-referenced to U.S. parts, so it made it easier to source.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we never got these vehicles here, so us in the States, yeah. So, is the inside of this thing factory seats all the way around? That's one thing I've noticed. Like, when you try to import one of these cars, it's like they've already put race seats in it, and there's gauges, and they've done everything. This looks super clean, man. Like, I mean, it's fairly showroom clean. Was it like that when you got it?
All the factory panels have been replaced when I purchased it. Uh-huh. They were fake carbon fiber, and it did have gauges on the dash.
It did go through the...
It did have the typical items, and I went through and bought all new OEM dash panels, center console pieces, ashtray.
So you really kind of bought this car to kind of restore it, really, right? I mean, maybe not the intent, but...
I like a simple factory car with a simple factory interior.
Right.
With a lot more power under the hood.
Right. And so your first driving impression of this car, once you got it out on the road, man, was it what you expected or worse, better? It
is a blast to drive. You say 300 horsepower, and it doesn't sound like a lot, but for as large as the vehicle is, it is a blast to drive.
Yeah, and for modern cars, this is just a little bit bigger than a Sentra now. So I mean, if you can imagine 300 horsepower in that size of a vehicle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of and then being rear wheel drive. That's
right.
That's the joy.
You can definitely still kick the rear end out of it, but it is restricted. It's not what I would call a fast car, but it's quick for its age and size.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, more modern cars, but you're also paying for that too. So, out of all these things, is there one thing in this car that you're just like, man, that just does not work for the American audience, or that doesn't work for you?
The daggum turn signals on the right side of the steering wheel.
That's the one thing. It
drives me insane.
That's the one thing I've heard about everybody that has one of these is the turn signals.
It is I know it's normal for Japan, and that's what it is. But it's the one thing I can't get used to. I go from my daily driver to this, and I'm constantly cutting the wipers and the turn signals on each car.
So did the stick shift drive you crazy at all, being in your left hand?
It is actually easier to drive.
Really?
I feel like I'm pulling each gear to me rather than pushing it away.
Huh.
And it makes me be able to shift a lot easier.
That's the one thing I've always been nervous about trying to drive a car like this is like the coordination of. I mean, obviously most people are right-handed, so generally you want your dominant hand on that steering wheel. It's just your stronger hand, so it makes sense. But I'm always worried about, I'm not going to get the shift pattern right. And as far as shifting, everything's the same, right? Like the patterns generally are first all the way to the left and going across.
Transmission-wise, it's just like swapping a Japanese transmission to a U.S. car. There is no gearing changes.
Right.
Pedals are still, clutches on the left, gases on the right. The only change is the turn signals and the wipers.
Right, and I see that it does have a better radio system.
I took it upon myself to put in a double DIN with CarPlay.
Yeah.
That way I can have navigation. I took a large road trip just a couple weeks ago, and I really enjoyed having that.
Well, and I'd seen that you've taken us to some shows and stuff, and I'm assuming it's been to Cars and Coffee here in Franklin, or?
I do love going to Cars and Coffee. I'm not a big show goer, but I do try to get to Cars and Coffee the first of every month, and I did take a road trip to Atlanta for Import Alliance. They were doing a Skyline feature there.
Oh, wow.
And I've got a friend, Don, that's one of the heads of the event, invited me down, and I was like, why not?
Yeah.
So it is the only big event I have done in the car.
How was a road trip in this car?
It was a blast.
Really?
It really was. It was a test of everything that I've done, because I was pretty much done with the car at that point, and it did perfect.
I know I'd be paranoid because I'd be like, this thing's going to overheat. It's going to do this, and here's my expensive car. I'm in between Atlanta and Murfreesboro, and it's like, that's where my mind goes. It would be racing of like, oh, great. Now how do I, even before I broke down, I'm like, how do I fix this problem?
Right.
Especially in this car.
I even averaged almost 24 miles a gallon.
Really?
Whole trip down. So
oh, wow. Wow.
fantastic.
So see, parents, if you want your kid to get good gas mileage, that's what you do. You get them a GT, and they're okay, right? So as we kind of wind this down, I know you had posted, you were like, you're kind of nervous about putting any more money in this car because most vintage cars can be you're just throwing good money after bad sometimes, and there is a balance of like, do I completely restore it, and then the car's never gonna, if I need to get rid of it, it's never gonna bring the value that it should. I know you're kind of hinting like, well, maybe time for a new project.
For me, it's always a money game. I was fortunate enough to purchase the car before it was actually legal, so I did save a little bit of money there. But with the cost of repairs on the car after it was here, I pretty much tapped out the, zeroing out mark. Yeah. And it is a business transaction, so I don't want to put myself in a negative investment. So I have tossed around the idea of what to do with the car from here. If I do let it go, it's not going to be for the price that you're going to buy it from an importer from, because, of course, everything's been gone through.
Sure. And it shouldn't be, and you're getting a better, you're getting, if you bought from a guy like you can go visit the car, you can see the car, you can put your hands on it. You're sort of paying for some of that. You've went through the problems of basically finding all the problems, so you've went through that headache, and that there is value in that.
That's right. I mean, there's a lot of money that's gone through, and zero labor costs. So every penny I've put into this car, I've done all the work to.
Right.
But for the average buyer, the things for you to weigh is, what use are you going to get out of the car? Right. Is it going to be something you want to hold on to for the rest of your life? And even if it's you're holding on to it for 10 years, put that extra money into the car. Yeah. Get it the way you want it. Right. But for me, I can't seem to hold on to a car. So I'm at the point, if I start putting more money into it, it does become a negative investment. And, but at the same time, I'm not afraid of that, because it's going to make me want to hold on to the car longer. Right. So from here, I'm either going to fix the body, which I'm scared to do, because right now I can beat on the car without worrying.
Yeah, because there's some marks on this car.
I can rip a corner, I can get a rock chip, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
So once you touch that paint, you're stuck.
Right.
And the other is digging into the motor. This motor will tap out around 350 to 400 horsepower with stock computer and injectors, and then that's when you're gonna go full build, and then then that negative investment keeps coming.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I know you kind of hinted around that the GTR version of this comes out next year, or it's available next year, and maybe that's a goal too.
Production for the GTR did start in January 2020 for the R33. It is going to be a great platform for several people. But the pricing is up there. I mean, you can expect to pay $40K plus for one of these.
Add an R to it, and it's
you throw a GTR tag on it, and it does increase. But it does have its pluses and minuses.
Right. But and also for people out there who are looking for GTRs, be sure what you're buying. There's a lot of clone cars out there. There's people that just try to badge things, and if you do not know this vehicle, don't go into it blind. Be sure you know what you're buying. And I'm assuming that the person or the network you bought it from
there's a lot of verifications of what you were getting to, right?
Correct. I did my research on the importer. High Rev is a big company with a lot of history in Florida. Frank, the owner, reached out to me personally. I personally went through, I used Jose, which is a subsidiary of him with VizTech R, and he was just a great guy.
Right.
Messages me with every update. You know, you build a relationship with these people, and they do good by you. So I was more than happy with my transaction.
And if you have $20,000, don't pester these people, guys. Like, I'm sure everybody that has a little bit of money wants to own one of these, and you know it's not like there's a car lot full of them. So you got to be very patient when you're doing a transaction like this. So, like I said, as we wind this down, clearly there's a few nicks on the car, but like you said, it's made to drive. You know, this isn't something you're going to put in a museum. It's a car made to drive, and I know I've seen some unique pictures of this. You had some stickers and stuff on there for some of the scrapes that were real fun. I don't know what to say, man. I'm such a fanboy of this vehicle. I'm kind of a little lost for words on this one. So, any shout-outs on this car, anything as we wind this down? Any besides the importer?
You know, I'd like to give a shout-out to Rhett Parker with Parker Brothers Window Tinting. You know, they do every vehicle I have. They're great people. Mm-hmm. You know, Jose with VizTech, of course. Frank with High Rev, and Scott with Nismo. You know, he's a great guy. So you know, that's about all I have. But you know, I'm gonna monitor the podcast. Anybody has questions and stuff, I'm sure I'll listen. I'll chime in where needed. So.
Well, we appreciate it, man. And I appreciate you allowing me to stalk you and do an interview with you, man. So till next time, guys. This is David with the Nissan Nation podcast, and we're out. All right, guys, so that was my buddy Brent there in his GTS, man. I'll post some more pictures up. The car is super clean. If you go and look at our Facebook page, you'll see the live video I did walking around it and stuff. Just an awesome guy, man. And he was actually asking me the other day, he's like, hey, man, when is that interview going to roll? And I was like, look, buddy, if it was a GTR, it rolled last week. But you're a GTS, so no, I'm playing, man.
Dang, brutal, dude. No, this is a great interview, Dave. Really cool guy, and just good, nice, just like a beautiful car, attention to detail.
Right.
You know,
it's fun to talk.
It's nice to come across stuff like that.
And it's fun to talk to like real car people. You know.
Car guys, motorheads. Yeah, absolutely.
So. And speaking of motorheads, man, did you see our favorite Atlanta motorhead? He was down in Disney. How many times is Holden going to go to Disney this year, guy?
Good gracious, man. That guy, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he's sporting little ears on himself right now.
Do you think he's got all the tattoos he's got? There's a hidden Mickey Mouse.
He's probably dancing. Yeah, he's probably dancing in his bedroom right now, trying to get his wife all spun up. The little Mickey Mouse ears on top and on bottom. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, poor Holden. Holden, sorry, buddy. When you're not here,
nice that he's not here to defend himself. He's just walking around with Donald Duck feet on.
You know, what's funny when we talk. Of course, we've talked about this in the past of our Marco Polo app. You know what's funny is every time he starts a Marco Polo, he's like, like he has this very unique Atlanta.
He's got like this. Yeah.
And, hey, if you do want something interesting, why don't you go follow Holden's Instagram page? And the dude like works out like nuts now, man. He's like into who's this Jocko guy you've been listening to?
Jocko Willings. Yeah. If you're into like some military hardcore stuff, he's a prior Navy SEAL. Now he does a lot of like motivational stuff, but at the same time, he interviewed, and he just did like a 3-part series interview of this. This guy's nickname was Tilt. I am totally blanking on his real name, but he was a Special Forces Vietnam guy, and I've been running a lot lately and listening to podcasts, and I just listened to all 3 of those, which is probably about 7 hours worth of podcasts. But oh man, great podcast. If you're looking to get some motivation. And make yourself feel like.
Well, I think
small.
Holden's taking those to heart, man, because he's like all of a sudden now posting these killer workouts, and he's like, Danny, you need to try this week, and next week you move over here, and then
Like I'm running with 50-pound weights on my back.
Yeah, it's motivating. It's motivating. I mean, you feel like weak sauce initially, but at the same time, he's a pretty motivating guy. He's one of those guys who's just like, if I could do it, you could do it, and do this. Why can't you do this?
Yeah,
no excuses. Take ownership.
Well,
so it's pretty cool. It's good. It's a good podcast.
I want to give a shout out also to my buddy Cody Jameson down in Australia. We interviewed him about this time last year. My buddy's getting married this actual weekend, man. So Cody, congratulations.
Congrats, man. Yeah.
Throw another shrimp on the Barbie or whatever. I don't know what they do in Australian weddings, but
good. For heaven's sakes, you do something nice and then you yammer on with some.
No, I seriously though, like
anti-Australian sentiments.
Koalas. I don't know what you throw on the Barbie.
What you should say is something like, "Good luck boxing that kangaroo, mate."
Is that?
See, that's way better. See, that's what they do. They box kangaroos.
Well, is that part of the wedding ceremony? You gotta punch a kangaroo.
Fosters and no, I hope he eats some figgy pudding.
I don't know what that is, Dan, but I know they like.
It's Australian, dude. My kid's Australian.
What's the nut? The peanut buttery stuff. The nuts. I don't know what.
Nutella.
Nutella. I think they like that a lot down there.
Yeah, they love Nutella. Well, I mean, I love Nutella.
Gross. That is the nastiest stuff I've ever seen.
No. You're thinking of Vegemite, dude.
No, oh yeah, they love Vegemite. That's it.
Vegemite's disgusting. Nutella's delicious.
We just keep slapping our Australian listeners around a little bit. Oh no, that's disgusting. Yeah. That's the worst thing ever.
Yeah. I think Australians know that everybody else knows that Vegemite is gross, and then that makes them like laugh more because they like it. They're like, well, we don't know any better because we were brought up with it, Right. But I think everybody can agree that Nutella is pretty delicious, especially when you like use it to make desserts.
Well, and speaking of, as we wrap up insulting Australians, Cody, congratulations, buddy. Marriage is not something you take lightly. It's a life decision, and I hope another 50, 60 years with your special lady, man. I hope it really. I hope it's awesome, man. I don't know what to say about marriage, Danny. I've been married a long time.
I've been married. I'm going on 17 years, something like that. I don't know.
Wait, Cody. Cody, did these faces look happy? Stop now. No, I'm playing.
I mean, I have a race truck, a bunch of kids, and a wife that loves me. Marriage can be the most beautiful and awesome thing in the world. Happy wife, happy life, my friend.
Right.
Go get it. Enjoy.
Also,
enjoy the roller coaster.
Let's see. Trav McBarber, another Australian. He's always sending me awesome, cool things. But he was asking, where was this? There's been a huge popularity in Japanese car Hot Wheels and Datsun castings. He's wanting to know if we've seen the Titan XD hauling the little 240Z that you can get at your dealerships. I have. And also, he sent me a picture of a little 510 vintage. It says vintage racing series, and it has like a $450 price tag on this little Hot Wheels. Now, Danny, you guys give me all kinds of crap about my few Hot Wheels that I have, man. But I'm not spending $450 on a Hot Wheels.
Damn. I might have to be looking around for some Hot Wheels and try and make a couple bucks, dude. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, suddenly Danny's like, hey, I might have a few of those.
I might be into Hot Wheels now. My inner money maker started digging off.
Oh, and speaking of dicking off, our buddies at Southeast Xterra. I love that transition. Guys, if you don't know, Southeast Xterra, it was a little club I actually started many years ago, and turned it over to some guys. One badass kind of tried to ruin the club, but it came back into good hands. And my buddy Zach and Kevin Rice have taken it back over, and they're having a meet and greet. Let's see, the East Tennessee meet and greet. It's Saturday, July 29th, so we got a week away, and it's at the Quaker Steak and Lube in Sevierville, Tennessee. So if you're in East Tennessee and you want to hang out with some cool Nissan people, especially Xterra people, go check out that event. They I never show those guys enough love, man, and they're my local homeboys, and hope that event goes. Yeah,
they're good dudes. Wheeled with them a few times. I think a few more times with Kevin than I have Zach. I think Zach I've only been out with once.
I've only met Zach. Came to the went last year for the first time. So I don't think
did he?
Yeah, I don't think you've met Zach yet.
Have I must not have. He always talks about he talks about coming to win every year.
Yeah,
but
he signs up and then never shows up.
I thought he came one other year.
No, last year was his first year, man, and it was kind of neat. Like, Danny, we've been in the Nissan business for a long time, so you friend all these people on Facebook, and you sort of get like buddies with them, So like a guy like Zach.
Yeah, I've chatted with him over. He slid up into my DMs. I slid into his DMs, chatting about Nissans and. Yeah, and all kinds of other stuff. You end up finding that you have a lot more in common than Nissans some of this time. So, and that's what's cool going to these meets. Sometimes it's almost like you already have friends, and it's cool to hang out in real life,
right?
Instead of just being internet nerds together.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, Danny. I mean, or else we probably would have never met. So as we wrap this nerd fest up of Nissans, guys. Go to our website. If you're going to buy it from anything from Amazon, just click our banner, man, and do your normal purchasing. We get a tiny kickback, and Amazon says thank you for sending them their way. Or if you want to feel really special, click the Patreon page, and if you want to throw us a couple bucks, once a month, saying thank you for what the free entertainment we bring you, whether it be factual or comical or whatever we do, Danny. If you'd sign up that way, it'd mean a lot to us. We're trying to actually take the show to the next level, and we need your help and support to do that. Or go to our YouTube page, guys. Go over in a Nissan podcast. All I'm asking you to do is click subscribe. You don't have to ring the bell. If you want to ring the bell, ring the bell. But
ring that bell.
If you ring the bell, anytime we
ring that bell.
Anytime you post or anytime you ring the bell, you get, as soon as we post something, you get an email about it. If not, that's cool. But we're on our way to 1,000, man. And last I checked, we're at 306, which is not close enough to 1,000. So please, all I ask you to do, even if you just have an account and you never use it, just go over to there and click subscribe to us. It'd mean a lot. And Danny, my Titan video is almost at 8,000 views, man. So I'm kind of happy about that.
Big deal, Dave. That's pretty solid.
I just dropped a new Sentra win 2 weeks ago, and it's at 56 views. So you do the math.
Nice. Well, Sentra's not as cool as Titan. However, I think the fact that you gave that love that sound. I think that's why. I think people are only watching actually like 30 seconds of that whole video.
They fast forward to that.
Love that sound. And actually, Dave, here's the final one. This is the ASMR version. I'm going to turn up my gain. Love that sound. There you go for the podcast.
That was it. That was the Danny seal of approval. But if we would, man, our goal is to hit 1,000, and we need 4,000 hours of watch time, which that'll eventually come. But it's an easy way for the podcast to fund itself. So we're really trying to bring you more original content. I was actually working, Danny, on a snorkel install, and somehow
you drilled into your camera.
Somehow Fat Finger Dave, likes to sometimes forget to hit record on this. Sometimes
I've done that a few times, Dave.
He doesn't focus the camera properly, and so my intro, like a 5-minute intro on me trying to look professional and smart, total fail. So I don't think that video is going to happen now. And you know what's amazing about that?
Happens.
Anytime you do an install video, Dan, there's always that other guy in his garage that could do it better. And so I posted a snippet of me drilling holes. I thought, since I can't really do the 15-minute video I was going to do, I'll just start posting up some snippets on Facebook of me doing it. And I couldn't believe how fast, like Johnny Snap-on tool guy was there to
Johnny Keyboard.
Yeah, was there to go, well, your drill bit's not sharp enough, or that's not how I would do it.
You don't have a Snap-on drill bit sharpener? Oh,
yeah.
Duh.
I was like, geez, man, no wonder nobody wants to post videos, because you're going to beat the shit out of them before they can do anything.
Haters going to hate. Did you install the snorkel, Dave?
It is installed. It's not completely installed yet, because it was going to be a 2-part video. And I'm going to run the tube. I've got to show how to run the tubing into the airbox.
Just the tube on the inside, under the fender. Yeah.
But so maybe it'll be a half a part video on showing how to run a tube.
This is how you run the tube to the snorkel.
But I'm actually, this next couple weeks, I'm going to do what it's like to own a 2009 Nissan Xterra modded. So if you've ever wanted to mod your stock Xterra, I'm going to kind of give you the do's and don'ts about that. So there's more videos coming. If you go to Danny's page over there, DeGroot X, Danny's doing all kinds of stuff with your race program. You're showing how you're in what the last one was the steering wheel.
Yeah, and I should be dropping another one here in the next couple days with me trimming up some fenders and some chopping and cutting and a little bit of motor work and whatnot. So
nice. And I'm a little jealous, Danny, because you've already hit 1,000 subscribers. You're probably 1,100.
Yeah, but I don't have the time in. I don't have the time in yet, so I just got to pump out more videos.
And if we can hit one more, Regal Nissan guys, it's Holden's family's company. They really do a lot for me with Wint, and they really support the podcast any way they can, whether it be let us see vehicles and go to they've got a YouTube channel. Holden's always posting something funny over there, so go check that out at Regal Nissan. And Danny, from all things Nissan here in the Middle Tennessee area, I want to say thank you for joining me tonight, buddy. You didn't cop out like some people trying to buy a house and I gotta buy a house and I can't be there and I really want to be, but I'm in Disney right now, or I'm doing my Jocko workout. And so from all things Nissan here in Middle Tennessee to wherever you listen to us, this is your Nissan Nation podcast. And what are we, Dan?
Ow, ow, ow!
Peace, everybody. Love y'all. So that was Mr. That's going on the best of right there.